on 4.7, graphing linear equations with tables of values. Again, like I said, we've been looking at coordinate planes. Now guys, my coordinate plane didn't turn out as nice as yours. You can at least read yours over here, right? So anytime I start graphing something, we'll fill in all the tables like that, but anytime I start putting a graph up here like this, I'm going to jump into this page right here to graph them. Is that okay with everybody? There we go. So I'll be jumping back and forth here a little bit, okay? So apologize for that not displaying correctly up here today. Not really sure why it did that, but here we go, guys. Like I said, we've been looking at an awful lot of stuff in coordinate planes today. So what we want to start doing is looking at linear functions. When I say the word linear, everything is going to be a straight line, okay? So no V shapes, no curves, no zigzags, just one straight line. Make sense? So if I've already told you that we're going to start looking, graphing some of these lines for these problems right here, and you get a graph that zigzags, probably one of your points has got to be in the wrong spot, right? No zigzags. That's good for track runners, right? Right? No zigzags, Mariah? And you just got to know everything's in a line, a straight line there, really. Okay? So I'm going to jump into this. Today our goal is to use an XY table to graph linear equations. And we want to start looking at what do these functions look like in the coordinate plane, because I got to be honest with you, we're going to be using this a lot here as we progress through the year. So that being said here, I'm looking at example 1. Guys, and in example 1, what's it telling us to do? Somebody want to volunteer to read that for me?
Is it we read? X2 plus 1.
Okay.
2x plus 1.
Graph the equation y equals 2x plus 1 using a table of values. Now guys, on the assignment, your x values are already listed, okay? But here's what I'm going to tell you to do for your notes today. The x values I'm going to have you choose to use are going to be the following values. I want you to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2 like that. I always pick those values to plug in. So guys, essentially what we're doing is we're choosing our x values. Those are like our inputs, okay? For every x value I put in, I better get how many outputs? Better just get 1. Again, we're graphing functions, right? And definition of a function again is for each x there is at most one y value, okay? So here's what we're going to do, guys. What are we trying to graph again? What's the equation we're trying to graph here? Y equals 2x plus 1. So in this blank part that I have right up here, I'll zoom up on that. But in this blank part that I have right up here, I want you to write the actual equation in here. And we're going to show some work for this, all right? I'm going to work on filling this table in example 1. This should really say y equals 2x plus 1. Okay? That's the equation we're trying to graph, right? So in that blank spot up there, in that first row of the table, you are going to write the equation that we're trying to graph. All right? Okay. So, guys, really our job is the following. We need to plug in x so that I can solve for what? Y. So let's do that. Everywhere where there's an x value up here, plug these values in. So what's the first value I'm going to put in? My first input's -2. So what I write here is the following. My first y value is going to equal to, anytime I substitute, I should always put what around the substitution? 2 times -2 plus 1. All right, so help me out here, Gary. 2 times -2, what is that? -4. -4, add 1 for me, kiddos. -3, right? So here's the dealio, guys. When I input -2 for x, what was my output for y? -3. So if I had to say something like this right here, my line would pass through a certain point. All points are written in an xy ordered pair right here, right? What was the x value I put in, guys?
-2.
What was the y value it produced? That means that my line has to pass through the point -2. That was my x input, wasn't it? And what did we get out for that? -3. Okay, so one point that's on my graph is going to be the point -2 comma -3. So on your graph over here on the left, I'm going to go ahead and jump over into my graph. The first point I want to plot is going to be what comma what? -2 comma this is all messed up today, but it's just not cooperating. So I'd go left 2 and down 3, wouldn't I? So wouldn't this be the first point I plot right here? You guys all agree with that? Okay, so have you got that point plotted on your graph? Okay, let's figure out the rest of my points here, and then we'll come back and plot them. So go back to your table. Okay, what am I inputting in the second equation? Input what value now? We're putting in a -1 for the equation, right? So I'll have y equals, oops, I don't like that color. That color, y is going to equal, what's going on? Oh, that's why. Okay. Y equals 2 times, what's the next value, guys, that I'm going to input? -1 plus 1 in the equation. Okay, so help me, gang. What's that equal? This would be -2 plus 1 more right here, which would be, so when I input -1, I get an output of -1. So what's the next point I would plot? What comma what? -1 comma -1. Okay, let's plug in 0. Let's finish up this table. Help me out here. This becomes y equals 2 times 0 plus 1. What's that going to equal? 1. So what's the next point that's plotted? 0 comma 1. Okay, plug in a 1. Y equals 2 times 1 plus 1 here, right? And what do we get for an output there? 3. So my next point would be 1 comma 3 to plot. Okay, and then finally, plug in that last value of 2. How many inputs are you going to have total here? 5. Okay, so we'll go y equals 2 times 2 plus the 1 here. And let's see. 5 of you guys agree with 5 there? Okay, so the next point would be 2 comma 5. Okay. So I've already plotted -2, -3. I need your help when I go to my graph, but you're going to plot everything over here on the left. When I go to my graph right here, help me plot these points now, would you? Okay, so we've already plotted -2, -3 right here. Boom. What was the next point? -1 comma -1, is that right? That would be left 1, down 1. How about my next point? Was it 0 comma 1?
Yeah.
And then we had 1 comma 3, right 1 up 3. And then the last one was 2 comma. Now guys, before you even do your graphing, first of all, do all 5 points that I've plotted or formed from my input values of -2 up to +2, do those 5 points look like they lie in a straight line? Okay, once you've got that done, all you need to do then is say, okay, the graph of 2x plus 1 is given by this line. So just use your straight edge to connect everything. So when you're all done with this, whoops. When you're all done with this, I gotta look here, give me a second. This is what it shall look like when you're, shoot.
Wait, you have to make the line that long.
I'd like you to extend it across the graph, yeah. Reason being is that lines go infinitely in both directions, right, Lauren?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to extend it all the way across the graph there. Okay, and it's a pretty little line. Pretty little line. So the equation of y equals 2x plus 1 looks like what, guys? It looks like this. So here's what we do when we graph these. I might want to use this line, and instead of doing all the math that we were doing, I might want to say if x is equal to 5 right here, what's your y value equal? Well, guys, couldn't I count over to my x value of 5 over here, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right? Would you guys agree with that? Count all the way up here. It looks like it crosses up here at what value? Right there, right? So let me count up here. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Looks like when I input 5 for the graph, I would get 11. Okay? So can I use this line to figure out values like we were doing on the graphs yesterday with the functions that you were plotting? Remember that? Okay, let's just check. I said when I input x is equal to 5, what do we get out for a y value? Okay, so when x is 5, we got 11. So it's like the point 5 comma 11 is on here. So if I go back to my original page right here, let's just pretend I put a 5 in here. Okay? Let's just pretend I put 5 in here. Let's just say it was right down here. Okay? So you would have y equals 2 times 5 plus 1. What is 2 times 5? 10 plus 1. Did we get 11? So I could have figured that out from the line that we formed in, right? Makes sense how these two tie together? Makes sense how these two tie together? Are we okay with that? All right. You guys are going to talk me through the next one. Let's get the values plotted, see if we can't form a straight line on this. All right, again, if you don't have input values, now the assignment you have will give you the input values, but if you don't have input values, what am I suggesting you use as your inputs for this next example? -2 up to what? -2 up to +2, right? So throw those in here quickly. All right. And we are looking to graph the following equations. Y equals 2x minus 2. Right, y equals 2x minus 2 is what we're looking to plot or throw in here today. So what do I want to plug in right here in this blank cell on the top row? Y equals -2x, whoops, mistake, -2x minus 2, right? And everywhere where there's next, you're going to plug your input values in. So let's just do this. Let's have this row, Brianna's row. You plug in -2. You guys plug in -1 in this row. You guys plug in 0. You guys plug in 1, and I'll plug in the 2, all right? So down here, this is my job right here. I've got y equals -2 times 2 minus 2. Not very good at math, but I think that's -6. I have my point. Okay. Anybody in this row got the first one? For x is -2? Anybody? Okay, I plug in -2 here. What am I plugging in for x the first time, guys? -2 minus 2 more by the function. That's a lot of 2's. What's -2 times -2? +4 minus 2 more would be. So what's the point you guys came up with over there, first row? -2 comma 2. Very good. All right, how about the second row? Anybody get the point for -1's input? -1 comma 0 I'm hearing. Let's confirm that. Okay, so I'm going to go y equals, into my function, -2. Input your -1 for x, minus 2. All right, so help me. Product -2, -1's +2, isn't it? +2 minus 2 more would be 0. So your point would be -1 comma 0. Lauren, anybody in your row got the third one for 0?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got -2.
0 comma -2. Good. All right, so again, y equal -2 times 0 minus 2. That product is 0 minus 2 more. I agree, -2. Savannah, anybody in your row got the last one? 1 comma -4. Very good. All right, so again, yeah, plug in 1. Y equals -2 times 1 minus 2, which is -4. I totally agree. Okay? So here's the next step I want you to take. Go ahead and plot those points. Now before you draw your graph, you better make sure your points lie in a line. If they form some kind of shape, something's got to be wrong. Okay? Yeah, do this here first. Okay, hang on this on this first. Get that one down here. Okay? That's all right. We'll talk about that when we do this. Go ahead and plot those points. Okay, so when you plotted your points, do you guys get a straight line when you plot your points? Alright, so let me do this quickly and plot those points. What were the points again? What was the first point? Negative 2 comma what? Negative 2 comma 2 right here. And what was the next point? Negative 1 comma. Next one was 0 comma negative 2, wasn't it? Next one was 1 negative 4. My point was 2 negative 6 right here. You guys agree with the points I've plotted there? Yeah. Okay, and then you drew your line through there? How you guys feeling about this? Pretty good? Yeah. Okay. Do me a favor. Last page, on your own, give this a shot. Okay, I'll go back to the chart up here, so you've got your values down. Second page, on your own, go ahead and give that a shot. We'll see if we agree. Okay.
Okay guys, check my points up here on the right, my x comma y values. Tell me if you think you like what you see there. My first one I came up for an output was -2, -8, or I should say for a coordinate was -2, -8. Do we agree? How about -1, -5? Okay there? The 0, -2, is that okay?
Yeah.
1, 1, 2, 4. Okay. Who needs more time getting these down right now before I go to the graphics? Go ahead and get them down quickly. Any questions about what I did up here? Very similar to what we've looked at already, right? Pretty simple, isn't it? I like it. If y'all think it's simple, I'll do a backflip for you. At a later date. Well, you think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. Lady, they all think I'm crazy. Taylor, they all think I'm crazy. Do you need more time with this? Everybody get it? Oh, y'all got it? Give me some sort of sign you're alive right now.
Yes.
Okay. Let me plot these points quickly. Do I need to plot the points, or have you gotten plotted correctly already? How many want to see the points plotted? Did you guys get a line when you plotted them? Okay. What questions have you got over this? Anna, you got questions?
Yeah, for the 1, 1 is, if you look at this, it's not even when there's line of.
1, 1 should be right one and up one though,
Oh,
shouldn't it?
got it.
There you go.
Got it.
Okay, Bo, do you have a question?
Do you always have to put y equals?
I don't have, you don't have to, no. So, that's not a good question. Anything else you guys want to ask about? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this quickly.